The global geopolitical landscape is shifting rapidly, with major developments unfolding across North America, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. From Canada reconsidering its F-35 fighter jet purchase to the delicate ceasefire negotiations in Ukraine, every event carries long-term consequences on the entire world. But what's really at stake? And what are the underlying factors driving these decisions? Let's break it down. मेरी नज़र से Let's cover our first news from North America. Canada rethinks its F-35 purchase. Now what's really happening? Canada is reportedly reconsidering its order of F-35 fighter jets under the Joint Strike Fighter, that is JSF program, a US-led initiative aimed at replacing aging fleet across NATO allies. The Lockheed Martin developed F-35 has been a controversial topic with criticism over high costs, maintenance challenges, and software dependencies. This isn't the first time Canada has had second thoughts. A major concern is the F-35's single-engine design, which raises reliability issues for operations over Canada's vast Arctic region. But backing out of the deal isn't that simple. Canada has already paid for 16 aircraft out of a planned 88 in a deal worth $13 billion US. So let's see, why does it matter? Strategic considerations. Canada's geography demands a reliable fighter jet for Arctic operations. If F-35s are unsuitable, what alternatives does Ottawa have? Second, dependence on the US. The JSF program ties Canada to US maintenance and software updates, sparking concerns over long-term dependence on the Washington. Third, the kill switch theory. Some reports speculate that the US has the ability to remotely disable F-35s if a buyer country falls out of favor. While not officially confirmed, these concerns have influenced procurement decisions globally. So what's next? While Canada is reconsidering, other NATO countries like Portugal have already expressed doubts. With rise of the drone warfares, some nations are questioning whether manned fighter jets are even the future of air combat. Let's talk the second news of the week, which is from Europe. Slow progress on Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. Let's figure out what's happening. In Saudi Arabia, US and Ukrainian officials discussed a 30-day ceasefire proposal. The idea is to pause hostilities, allow humanitarian aid, and lay the groundwork for broader negotiations. So what are the positions of the key players? First, Ukraine and US. Ukraine sees the ceasefire as a temporary solution to regroup, while the US sees it as a way to manage its involvement without escalating direct conflict with Russia. Russian perspective, President Vladimir Putin has expressed conditional support but demands withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from Russian-claimed areas, no forced mobilization by Ukraine during the ceasefire, halting of Western military aid during this period. And as per the Ukraine's response is concerned, President Zelensky rejected these demands, calling them manipulative. So now, why does it even matter? If the ceasefire holds, it could be the first step toward a broader peace deal. If it fails, both sides might escalate with unpredictable consequences for Europe and NATO. So now, the upcoming talks between Trump and Putin could shape the next phase of the war. The Kursk offensive, Ukraine's setback. What's happening? Ukraine's recent offensive in the Kursk region has faced a significant setback, with its forces retreating and losing approximately 470 square miles of previously held territory. Russia has reclaimed Sudza, presenting it as a major strategic victory. Why does it matter? Symbolic blow. Ukraine's incursion into Russian territory was seen as a bold strategic move, signaling its capability to strike beyond its borders. However, this retreat could weaken that perception. Military impact. With losses in Kursk, Ukraine might shift its focus back to Donbass, where the war remains deadlocked. Negotiation leverage. Any loss of territory impacts Ukraine's position in potential peace talks, possibly giving Russia more leverage in future negotiations. Is Ukraine's retreat from Kursk a tactical move to regroup, or was it a forced compromise? This is for you to decide. Greenland's election, a new power shift. What's happening? Greenland's recent election has resulted in a major political shift, with Democratic Party taking control. This marks a move away from left-leaning governance and has reignited debates over Greenland's future. Should it push harder for independence or proceed cautiously? Let's try to understand the background first. Greenland, an autonomous territory under Denmark, has long debated its independence. While culturally distinct, it remains financially dependent on Danish subsidies, which make up about 20% of its GDP. The question now is whether Greenland should gradually reduce this dependence or push ahead with full sovereignty. The independence debate. The previous left-leaning government advocated for slow, careful step towards sovereignty. The Democratic Party, however, supports economic development first, independence later. Economic transformation. Traditionally dependent on fishing, Greenland is now shifting focus toward mining and renewable energy to reduce reliance on Denmark. US and China's interest. The US has shown strategic interest in Greenland's rare earth minerals, a crucial resource in global tech and defense industries. The Trump administration even floated the idea of buying Greenland in 2019 also. Meanwhile, China, a dominant player in rare earth mining, also sees Greenland as a potential resource hub. So why does it matter? Geopolitical stakes. Greenland is emerging as a strategic battleground between Denmark, the US, and China. Economic shift. Mining and renewables could redefine Greenland's economic future. Independence still on the horizon? While full independence isn't imminent, the new government's approach could lay the groundwork for a future breakaway from Denmark. Now, the next news is from the Middle East. Violence and new political realities in Syria. What's happening? Syria's government, led by Ahmed al-Shara, is facing two major crises: revenge killings in Latakia and a new Kurdish SDF agreement with Damascus. To understand this, we need to look at Syria's post-2011 civil war dynamics. The war split Syria into multiple factions: Assad's government, Kurdish forces, ISIS remnants, and Turkish-backed rebels. Latakia massacres. Latakia is a stronghold of Assad's Alawite sect and Sunni rebel groups having long sought revenge for past conflicts. Recent killings may be retaliatory violence from these factions. Kurdish SDF deal. The Syrian Democratic Forces, that is SDF, backed by the US, historically opposed Assad. But with US troops slowly reducing, the SDF is negotiating with Damascus for the survival. Regional tensions. Turkey sees Kurdish group as a terrorist threat and might intervene if they align with Assad. Meanwhile, Iran's growing influence in Syria has triggered Israeli airstrikes. So, why does it matter? Ethnic tensions and revenge attacks could destabilize the fragile post-war order. The Kurdish deal could shift the balance of power in the region, affecting both Turkey and US involvement in Syria. Now let's talk about the news from Africa. SADC peacekeepers withdraw from DRC. What's exactly happening? The Southern African Development Community, that is SADC, is withdrawing peacekeeping troops from the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. With M23 rebels advancing, a major security vacuum is emerging. Let's understand the background first. Congo's crisis isn't new. It's a decades-old struggle fueled by ethnic conflicts and resource exploitation, resource wealth and proxy wars. DRC holds vast reserves of lithium, cobalt, and gold, making it a battleground for global and regional interest. Ethnic conflicts. The Hutu-Tutsi rivalry, dating back to 1994 Rwandan genocide, has fueled constant tensions. Regional involvement. Rwanda and Uganda face accusations of backing rebels to control DRC's minerals, while Burundi may step in militarily. Peacekeeping challenges. SADC forces struggled against M23 due to lack of funding, coordination issues, and high casualties. So why does it matter? M23 rebels could expand control with peacekeepers gone. Rwanda, Uganda, and Burundi's involvement could escalate tensions. So now it's a test for UN peacekeeping that does the international intervention really work? Now last but not the least, our beloved Asia. The news that Taiwan tightens national security against China. Let's see what's happening. Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te has introduced new security measures against China's hybrid warfare, which includes cyber attacks, political interference, and military pressure. Key measures are labeling China a foreign hostile country under Taiwan's Anti-Infiltration Act 2019, cracking down on subversion, including media and political manipulation, increasing defense spending up to 3% of the GDP. So why does it matter? China is ramping up pressure through cyber operations and military drills. Taiwan's response increases tensions, potentially pushing the region toward escalation. So the final thoughts, from Canada's defense dilemmas to Ukraine's ceasefire negotiations and Taiwan's response to China, global geopolitics is evolving rapidly. Now the big question is, are these developments leading to stability or further instability? Now it's up to you. What do you think? Is Canada justified in reconsidering the F-35 deal? Will the Ukraine ceasefire hold? And how will Taiwan's action impact regional stability? Do let us know in the comments. Share your thoughts. I'll see you next week and discuss another geopolitical events मेरी नज़र से.